Adam, the White Hair Master. Season 2. Episode 14. After dealing with ghosts in a college girls' dormitory, Adam and Sarah go to the disco to give the bastard a lesson about the bad things he's done. We continue to follow Adam and Sarah to the city's airport, where Sarah's grandfather is waiting for them. But for some reason, having met for less than a minute, Sarah's grandfather attacked Adam. Fortunately, he was quick. Otherwise, he would have been defeated by this surprise attack. After dodging the surprise attack, Adam seemed to understand Grandpa Sarah's intentions. He immediately regained his composure, prepared to deal with the next blows, because things did not end here, according to his guess. And just as Adam predicted, after failing with the surprise attack, Sarah's grandfather continued to jump high. Adam could guess his next move by seeing Grandpa Sarah's movements, so he immediately raised his hand to block the blow. Just as Adam's arm was raised, it was also when a powerful kick touched. The two's movements matched perfectly, making anyone who saw them burst out in admiration. This kick also surprised Adam because of its strength. Not every elderly person can have a powerful kick like a young man. Sarah's grandfather's fighting style was similar to his master's, so Adam understood that the kick just now was just a distraction. The decisive blow is a left-handed cross that few people expect. Therefore, when Sarah's grandfather had just lowered his leg, Adam was just in time to reach up and grab Sarah's grandfather's arm gently. Although the time was only a few short seconds, the two people exchanged 7-8 moves in a row. Suddenly Sarah's grandfather stepped back and stopped attacking Adam. Because at this moment, an airport security guard was running over, he thought the two were fighting, so he rushed over to stop it. Although it was a bit regretful, Sarah's grandfather had no choice but to step back to avoid trouble. Seeing that the two were no longer fighting, Sarah rushed to hug her grandfather's arm, wondering why he attacked Adam when they first met. Sarah wondered if the two had known each other before? Sarah's grandfather just smiled and said, "He has no idea who this young man is," but according to his comment, the guy in front of him performed very well, did not disappoint him. It turned out that this was just a small test that Sarah's grandfather gave Adam. Adam knew this from the moment he took the first hit, but Sarah didn't realize it. After smiling at his granddaughter, Sarah's grandfather turned to Adam. He praised him, saying that there are not many young people with martial arts as good as Adam. At the praise of the senior whom he had always admired, Adam could only smile shyly. The airport security officer also arrived. He immediately questioned why they were fighting in the airport's lobby. Originally, he would say more, but before he could finish saying what he needed to say, he was startled by Grandpa Sarah's eyes. He had to swallow his unspoken words. As a security officer who has worked for many years, he is not a coward, but the eyes that look at him are scary. It had so much power and intimidation that he dared not look at it directly. More than anyone else, Sarah was the one who knew her grandfather best, with the same stubborn and fearless nature as when she was young. As long as the security officer utters half a disrespectful sentence, he will immediately have to suffer the consequences. So in order not to go wrong, Sarah rushed over to apologize to the security officer. She also explained that the two were longtime acquaintances, so they did so as a form of greeting. After everything was settled, the three of them started walking to the car. On the way, Sarah's grandfather started asking about Sarah's sister. He asked Adam where he found the demon. Adam then briefly recounted how he found the demon and about the process of destroying it. Adam did not dare to say too much, fear of being judged as bragging in front of a respected senior like Sarah's grandfather. Sarah's grandfather then asked Adam if he knew how to distinguish and identify evil magicians. Hearing this question from Grandpa Sarah, Adam was confused. Although it was true that he had directly defeated the demon, the one who cast it on his sister Sarah, he had never seen him. In addition, since childhood, the only mage he met was his master. To the wizarding world, Adam was like a fresh graduate. Different from the natural look at first, Adam was now starting to look flustered. Sarah immediately approached her grandfather to speak for Adam. She said that Adam was still young. How can he have so much experience? She also emphasized that Adam's ability is very high. She believes that he will achieve the same achievements as her grandfather one day. Hearing his granddaughter's words, Sarah's grandfather just smiled without saying anything, as if he realized something but didn't want to say it. Waiting for her grandfather to disappear, Sarah immediately apologized to Adam for her grandfather's odd temperament. But Adam smiled and said that he felt completely normal, because according to Adam, his master had a similar personality. Sarah was quite surprised at what Adam had just said. She had always thought that only her grandfather had such a different temperament. As if that wasn't surprising enough, Adam went on to say that, while he didn't know how evil magicians were, but from the people of his grandfather Sarah and his master, he could feel an aura emanating from them. Then all three got into the car to take Grandpa Sarah home to rest. On the way, Sarah kept thinking about what Adam had just said. She has lived with her grandfather since she was a child and has never seen anything unusual in her grandfather. She eventually concluded that this could only be seen by those with magic power. After walking for a while, Sarah's grandfather spoke up. He said that he was not tired, so he wanted to go to a place in the city. Then he read out the house's address to Sarah, saying that he wanted to go there and have a look. Sarah did not want that at all. Her grandfather chose a late flight, so he had a sleepless night. She was worried about her grandfather's health, so she found an excuse to refuse. Sarah says that the house has been abandoned for a long time. No one is there now. Sarah tried to convince her grandfather but failed. He still insisted on going to that house. Finally, she had to sigh in defeat. Her grandfather was like that. Once he decided to do something, it was best not stop him. About 15 minutes later, the three of them were in front of the house that Grandpa Sarah wanted to see. As a real estate worker, Sarah knows this house well. It has long since fallen into disrepair. Now all is almost deserted, only the sign for rent but no one contacted. Seeing the locked door of the building, Sarah continued to persuade her grandfather. Sarah tells her grandfather that no one has been here for a long time. She wants to take him home immediately to rest. But Sarah's grandfather was adamant about his decision. He took out his phone and dialed the number on the sign above the door. After ringing for a while, the house owner picked up the phone and asked what was wrong. Sarah's grandfather said that he wants to rent a house, if possible. He wants to see the house right now. It was already quite late. Sarah was afraid that her grandfather calling like that would disturb others. She didn't understand why her grandfather had to look at that house but couldn't wait until morning. Expecting that the owner would be angry, but unexpectedly, he said that he would come immediately. The three of them began to wait in silence. About half an hour later, a man approached from afar. No one is out on the street anymore, so it is not difficult to recognize this person as the house owner. Looks like the owner hasn't come home yet, but is wandering outside. As soon as he came in front of the three, he asked who was going to rent the house. His attitude was not very polite. At this point, Sarah's grandfather clearly stated his purpose. In fact, he did not want to rent the house but just wanted to find out information about the last person who rented this house. After hearing Grandpa Sarah's purpose, the house owner showed anger. He did not hesitate to raise his voice to an elder. He said that if he wanted to rent the house, he would be very welcome, and if not, don't bother him like this. The house owner also added that the tenant's information is confidential, he cannot disclose it. Faced with the house owner's attitude, Sarah's grandfather knew it would be difficult to convince him. He then put 2 fingers together and held them out in front of the house owner. Then he waved his arms repeatedly as if drawing something in the air. The average person might not see it, but Adam is different. He knows that Sarah's grandfather is drawing a charm. After completing the charm, Sarah's grandfather immediately pushed the talisman towards the house owner. Due to the surprise, he did not have time to dodge. The first feeling is that everything in front of his eyes blooms as if someone else punched him in the face. Seeing what her grandfather was doing, Sarah was extremely surprised. She did not know what her grandfather was doing. Besides Sarah, Adam was also showing great surprise, but his surprise was different from Sarah's. Adam knew that the swordsman's ability was very high, but he didn't expect it to be so high. Adam knew about the talisman that Grandpa Sarah had just cast on the house owner more than anyone else. It is a talisman that allows ordinary people to open their heavenly eyes, from which they can see things that normal people can't see, but its effects are not long-lasting, only lasting a few minutes. At first, the house owner was still quite ignorant. He did not understand what the old man in front of him had just done. But just a few seconds later, when the talisman began to work, he was startled by sight around him. Unable to control himself, he fell backward, his mouth constantly talking about the devil. Feeling more curious, Sarah finally had to ask Adam about what was happening in front of her. She wanted Adam to explain to her what her grandfather had just done, that the man was so scared.